Skateboarding originated in America, but the sport is gaining a strong following around the world. And thanks to the VisualTraveling project, it's helping bridge cultural gaps in countries not known for skateboarding. They're also not known as desirable travel destinations. Our first guest is Patrick Wallner, a Hungarian adventure travel filmmaker who specializes in skateboarding. His films, under the VisualTraveling label, take expert skateboarders from all over the world to countries that are not easily accessible to most travelers. Some of the stops: Cuba, Iran, Afghanistan, and even the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. And Walker Ryan joins us here in the studio. He's an American professional skater who's been on the professional skateboarding scene since 2011. And he's one of the stars of the VisualTraveling films. Patrick, Walker, both of you, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Let me ask you, it started here in America. So talk to me about some of the misconceptions people might have about skateboarding or even America when you travel abroad.
Well, definitely in America, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about skateboarders. Often we're lumped into a category of sort of miscreants, people who are, I don't know, there's a punk culture associated, and that's all still there, but I feel like there's a wider reach now. But traveling, a lot of times in the countries we go to, people have never seen skateboarding before, so there isn't necessarily a misconception. There's been no exposure beforehand, so it's all new.
So Patrick, let me ask you about starting up this series. What prompted you to do it?
The first time that I wanted to do a really long distance trips was back in 2009. I've been wanting to do the Trans-Siberian Railroad. So me and my friends at that time, we just decided to, how about we hop on a train from Moscow and we're gonna go all the way to Hong Kong. So we spent about 2 months traveling on trains, and at that time I already was filming skateboarding a lot, and then that's when I kind of went more the documentary route, where I decided to document the story of Russians, Americans, and Europeans all together in the search of finding skateboarding spots in Siberia and Mongolia and in China. And that was like the first trip that we did that kind of started up the addiction of just knowing like what's in these other countries, and from there on we just tried to take it around the Eurasian peninsula.
So Patrick, Afghanistan was part of Meet the Stands. You went to all of these countries with the word stand in them. You were basically retracing the Silk Road, starting in China. So talk to us a little bit about that trip. What surprised you about it? I imagine when you go into something like this, you kind of have a general idea, this is what's going to happen. What were some of the surprises along the way?
I think the biggest surprise in the stands was Uzbekistan and Afghanistan, of course, but Uzbekistan was the most interesting one and the most abstract, and something that threw me out of what I actually thought how it's going to be like was the corruption too, and the way that these countries work under these dictatorships or under these corrupt political leaders. It leaves a lot of the things in the country really hard to access. So once we're in Uzbekistan, just seeing, I remember before we went to Uzbekistan, there were some Kazakh skaters were telling that their filmer got arrested, and the Uzbek authorities were trying to make him say that he's a spy. So I remember I was pretty scared about that, and And mainly, all of the countries in the stands and in Central Asia just have some really weird laws, and you can't cross the streets at some points when the president is coming, and then the currency is really inflated. So there's a lot of little things that come along on these trips that you're not really expecting, and people might have told you before, but you get surprised once you're actually there.
How about you, Walker? What was the takeaway for you?
Well, unfortunately, on that trip, I didn't make it all the way to Afghanistan. I left from Kazakhstan. I had some other responsibilities.
So you made some of the stands, not all.
Yeah, but really for me, Kazakhstan, Kazakhstan was actually much more modern than I would have imagined. I was expecting something completely different. I think when they went further along the Silk Road, it got a little weirder.
I think, weren't you on the train? Isn't that the film where the guy kept calling you Walkie? And
Yeah.
you were trying to, yeah, very funny
I definitely enjoy those long train rides. It brings you into
Yeah, they
some
were long, too.
Oh, yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that came across in the
30+.
film. Hey, Patrick, we've got a clip from when you were in Afghanistan. We want to play that, and then we want to get your thoughts on it. So let's play that clip right now.
We're doing a demo for the governor. Atta is one of the 50th richest people on the planet right now. And for some reason, we were lucky enough to do a little demo out the front of the building.
And he said he cared and wanted to see the kids of Afghanistan grow up and not be involved with drugs, have some kind of sports to help out with their lives and have something to do for the kids.
Walker, you know, Afghanistan's really interesting. This is a piece that most Americans aren't familiar with. I don't think most people around the world are.
Yeah.
How they've embraced skating. There's Skateistan there, where they're trying to get kids involved in skating. It's amazing what's happening there.
Yeah.
Are you kind of surprised at the impact, you know, skating's having?
Yeah, well, what I'm most impressed with when it comes to Skateistan is how they really push to involve women in the skate lessons and the classes that they have, because I think in countries like that, to offer an activity where the men and women are seen as equals as they learn together, I think is incredible and probably super rewarding for both, and something that even compared to the rest of the world with skateboarding, you know, there's much less women who skate, and it will be interesting to see how many of these children who stick with skating end up being women. I hope that they stick with it.
It is fantastic, and we've got a clip from the Persian version as well. I'd like to play that, and I want to get both of you to comment after.
I'm the first person that make a skateboard deck in Iran. Yes, nobody knows that there is a factory in Iran for making decks. But after this video, I'm sure that all the Iranians know that there is a factory here. And this is the best 10 days in my life, you know. I'm really excited, yes, about your trip and see professional skateboarder here. My biggest dream is one day I can make a skateboard for a professional skateboarder, make signature for them, especially for Walker, because he said to my friend that he wanted to skate with my skateboard, which I made. So this is my biggest dream.
Best 10 days of his life, probably worst 10 days of your life. It's a long story. We can't get there. But
Yeah.
Have you used a skateboard? Have you tried it?
No, and
No?
I wish that's one of my only regrets is that I didn't leave the country with one of his skateboards. I would love to.
Maybe at
Gotta
some
get back there. Yep.
Let me ask you, Patrick. You obviously, just listening to him, skateboarding's obviously had a huge impact on this man and others in Iran. Why, do you think?
I mean, MJ and the other local skateboarders of Iran are just very restricted of what they can do. And then for someone like MJ who loves skateboarding so much that he actually makes his own boards in his basement, it's mind-blowing and breathtaking at the same time, because it's hard to comprehend, and people in the West take skateboarding for granted, and like, for example, often like friends just break their boards when it's not a perfect shape or something, and this guy is like pressing the layers of the wood in his basement and just loves skateboarding so much that that he goes through even risks because it's a Western activity. So he could even, I don't know, he could get in trouble for making something like this, but he loves it that much that he's gonna keep doing it. And I just saw him in Bangkok recently, so after the film came out, he got a couple opportunities to leave the country and to participate in some skateboarding competitions in Southeast Asia. So he's doing really well, and every time I see him, he's getting better at skateboarding. So you can see it's like skateboarding has changed his life. I mean, a lot of the people have their future drawn out to them. Like, this is the way your life is going to be. And he took a different route, and it seems to be working really well for him.
Skateboarding's changed his life. It's changed your life. These
Certainly
trips,
mine, yeah.
these trips have changed your life too, I would think.
Yeah.
What is it about skateboarding that it resonates around the world, do you think? I mean, can you put your finger on it?
Yeah, I think what makes it remarkable when you're traveling to different parts of the world where you might think you have nothing in common with someone you meet. We share the same skateboarding culture, but skateboarding's just a passion and it's an activity, and even if you can't speak the same language, you're going to be doing it together and appreciating the same wonders. And so I think that's what it is. It's just this way to relate in a way that it's hard to do otherwise instantly.
Patrick, let me throw a similar question at you. You know, skateboarding is diplomacy in a sense. I mean, you're going to these places that are kind of, you know, off the beaten track where a lot of Americans don't go. It's the first exposure for the Americans with this culture. It's the first time some of these people have ever seen somebody like Walker. What about, you know, skateboarding as diplomacy, bringing people together instead of what separates us, what brings us together?
Yeah, I mean, skateboarding tends to be looked at as a harmless thing. So in many countries, you can have the reason to go skateboarding. And for example, North Korea, you're restricted from doing a lot of things. But with what the ping pong diplomacy in China has brought, I feel like you can kind of do the same thing with skateboarding in these various nations. Like the last time I went to North Korea, I brought a skateboard and they just built a skate park. And just to see some of the kids there and just seeing how they analyze it, and then you can actually interact with them, because in North Korea it's illegal to talk to any local people. But with skateboarding, we talked the same language, and you could see how they were rolling, and it was fascinating to see it in North Korea because they have no outlet at all at skateboarding, so they don't even know how it exists in the Western world, and seeing how they perceived it definitely shows that you can use skateboarding in various ways to kind of meet people in countries that you normally wouldn't have, like in North Korea. And then when we went to Cuba, we met the Cuban locals, and it definitely connected us.
Patrick, thanks so much. Walker, both of you, it's been great talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
When we come back, we're switching gears to focus on an epidemic that is having dire consequences for young people around the world. Follow.